Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy, the Problem Child, here to talk to you today about the look in wrestling. I don't understand why these people are keep talking about, well, in wrestling, you have to have the look. You have to look like this. You have to be looking. And, I mean, what the hell is. Are we watching wrestling or are we watching pornos? Are we watching wrestling or are we watching movies? Are we watching wrestling or are we watching. What are we looking for? The look. Really? I mean, come on, guys. That's. Oh, you have to have the look, not the skill. So I guess Ezekiel Jackson has the look. So he should be WWE champion. I guess, let's see. I guess Big Show and Mark Henry has the look, but they should be the top guys in the WWE. You have guys. Oh, let's see. John Cena has the look, so he should be the number one guy in the company, right? What is up with this? It is so weird for me that a group of men, a bunch of men, are talking about the look of a guy in pro wrestling like they're judging America's next top model. What the fuck is going on with us that we're worried about muscly looks? Oh, well, he has a nice body. He has the look to be a champion. What? Guys, what the hell? What is this? What? I mean, just tell me, am I watching wrestling or what are we judging next top models? Because I'm trying to figure out why is it that we need to have guys that have the look. I thought the look was looking like you can fucking wrestle. I thought the look was looking like you can do moves. I thought the look was like looking like you can do a 30-minute fucking match without getting winded or a 5-minute match without looking winded. I thought the look was let the fans look like they're being entertained instead of sitting on their asses in the crowd texting people. That's a look that I wish that we could stop looking at because I've seen a bunch of big guys in my wrestling life looking and couldn't fucking wrestle. Look like they was wrestlers and couldn't fucking wrestle. You got people like, okay, so the look has apparently been working for the last, what, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 years. But apparently the look has been working for the past 5 years. Because apparently wrestling is higher than what it was in the golden era, in the attitude era, and even in the rockin' wrestling era. And even in the ruthless aggression era. I guess the look has been getting over for the past 5 years because apparently wrestling is at the height of its peak. It is breaking records that it has never broken before, and it's getting better and better because guys with the look are setting these outstanding fucking records in wrestling. Guys, this is what I'm trying to get through to people on the internet all over. I'm trying to get through to you guys. We all know wrestling is a fucking work. We all know it. It's over now. People in our grandparents' day knew wrestling was fake. People know wrestling is a work. So why is it that we are only looking for guys that has the fucking look? You look at UFC, which is a contact sport, or MMA, period. Boxing. Who's the biggest guy in boxing right now? Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather. Those guys are not the biggest guys in boxing right now. Matter of fact, the heavyweight division has not been good since the Mike Tyson era of boxing. So apparently the look isn't working because they did do that with heavyweights in boxing. And guess what? People realize, hey, just because he looks good doesn't mean that he's fucking good. He's a fucking bum. Oh, let's talk about UFC. Brock Lesnar was the face of UFC. There's no disputing that because he established himself in other companies and achieved everything that he entered. There's no denying that about Brock Lesnar. He was a wrestler for his college in NCAA. Broke records. WWE. Had the look. Had also the wrestling skills. You have him in UFC. He was an okay fighter. A lot of people shit on Brock Lesnar, but he did win the UFC title. Heavyweight title. So he was the face. He was on the game cover and everything. But then you look at UFC now, and you look at other guys that they do have in UFC. You look at guys like, let me see. You look at guys like you look at guys like Sonny, larger than life characters. Not the biggest guy in the UFC. You look at Hardy, great guy, a little stature guy, but he's a good MMA fighter. You look at Rashad Evans, not big at all, good fighter. You look at Machida, John Bone Jones. John Bone Jones isn't a big guy by any extent to the imagination. He's not a big guy, but he has the skills to back it up. So for all you guys that shit on people like Daniel Bryan and Zack Ryder, let's be honest with ourselves. We was kind of brainwashed too like Zack Ryder. There's no ands and buts about it. We were. Because it turns out that he didn't get on the internet by himself, that, he had some help from some WWE people to get on the internet and do his own videos. You look at guys like Daniel Bryan, who can actually fucking wrestle, who can probably out-wrestle guys like Triple H, who can out-wrestle guys like, Batista, who can out-wrestle guys like, John Cena, who can out-wrestle maybe even Randy Orton. Because he's a good wrestler. Because you want to talk about why people are not interested in him, because they're not letting him talk. They're booking him against guys like Big Show and fucking Mark Henry. How is he supposed to have a good match against those two guys? Those guys are what, 400, 500 pounds? They weigh 1,000 pounds together. So why would he have such an outstanding match and get over with people when he can barely pick them up? Because you're not giving him guys to compete with. You're not giving him guys that are outstandingly talented like he is. We're so busy about looking at the look like Antonio Cesaro. Really? Because if Antonio Cesaro had such an amazing fucking look, he would have been a top guy in ROH. And let's be honest, Antonio Cesaro is a good fucking wrestler, but he's not that fucking great. You know what I mean? He is a good wrestler, don't get me wrong, but he's not that fucking great. Triple H is not that fucking great, but he has the fucking look. Shawn Michaels didn't have that big, muscularly look, but guess what? He got over with the fans because of his personality and his skills in the ring. Bret Hart, the same way. What are we looking at, guys? What do we want from wrestling? What do we want? Brodus Clay, he has the fucking look, really? Because last time I checked, the funk gimmick never really got over in any fucking company in the history of wrestling. So apparently, he has the look. But, guys, we're watching professional wrestling. We're watching something that we already know is a work. We're watching something that's entertaining. Yes, because wrestling evolved over the years. We had guys like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, who was not as good in the ring as Ravishing Rick Rude, as as certain guys in the company, as Mr. Perfect, as Ravishing Rick Rude, as as Chris Benoit, as Eddie Guerrero, as even Rey Mysterio in the early days. We didn't have guys like that was that good. But now we do, because they worked on a craft. They worked on things that needed to be worked on in the wrestling business, guys. That's what happened. They worked on things that needed to be worked on. They advanced with the times. They advanced with athletic people. You had Hulk Hogan who was wrestling, but he wasn't doing the spectacular things that was done in the Attitude Era or in the Ruthless Aggression Era or even before those days with Chris Jericho. Do you think Chris Jericho would have got over during the Hulk Hogan days? No, because they wanted big, muscly guys to carry the company. They had Macho Man Randy Savage, who wasn't a big guy, but he had a personality, guys. He had a personality. But I like how some of you guys are like, well, maybe they don't have the look, but you got to have a personality. Well, give them some time to talk on the fucking mic, and maybe they would show their personality. Daniel Bryan does have a fucking personality. Look at some of his stuff in ROH or in the Indies. He can cut promos, but WWE doesn't really want him to cut promos like that because they keep giving him fucking guys like Big Show and fucking Mark Henry. Wrestling, people want to blame the low ratings to Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Zack Ryder in the main event because of their look and because people are not interested in it. You know why you're not interested in it? Because basically you're probably looking at wrestling at a guy that you probably want to bend over and fuck in the ass. That's why, and you want to feel his sexy arms and his muscly body. Because apparently you don't know what wrestling is because you don't know the craft of wrestling. You don't know how hard those guys train and how hard they put on a match. Guys, we need to wake up and realize that this look thing isn't getting anywhere. Because John Cena has the look, but I haven't seen John Cena pull a 5.0 rating ever. Randy Orton, I guess, has the look, but when has he put a 5.5 on the ratings list? Triple H has the look, but he couldn't even save wrestling from the plummeting ratings that they're receiving right now. How about we stop focusing on the look and focus on the fucking skills? Because like Tough Enough, if everybody's seen the Tough Enough of 2011, they hired Adrina, a girl who never ever touched the wrestling ring, nor has ever probably even watched a wrestling match before. And they fucking hire her on the spot. Because what? Because she looks like a black girl that can probably pass off as being white. That she's not too black for them. Because maybe she has the fucking look. Because the look isn't really getting us no fucking where, is it, guys? Is it? It's not really making wrestling any better, is it? Because you got guys in FCW like Tyler X, Dean Ambrose, Xavier Woods. You got another high flyer in Xavier Woods. You got Leia Key. You got guys that can actually wrestle in FCW. And you're not bringing those guys up. Why? Because we keep holding on to people that have the look like John Cena and fucking Big Show. You know what? Guess what, guys? If I want to look at a tall, big, slow guy, I'll look at the fucking NBA because they got a bunch of them that can't fucking run down the fucking court. If I want to look at a tall attraction, that's what the NBA is for. But the difference is that some of the guys that are pretty tall in the NBA can actually do fucking dunks and run up and down the court without getting fucking winded and can play 25 minutes on the court without a fucking timeout. If you want to look at guys with the look, go buy a men magazine. Go buy a Playgirl magazine. Go buy a magazine with men models in it, and you can get people with the look all day. Wrestling has to evolve, guys. It has to evolve a bit, okay? We've seen that wrestling can work with small guys like Shawn Michaels, like Bret Hart, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, we see that it can work. We don't need overly muscular guys that to wrestle. Why? Because it's not getting over with the fans right now. If it was so much about the look right now, then how come they ain't pulling in 5.0s in the ratings? At least 5.0s. I'm not even telling them to put in attitude era ratings like 7s and 10s. Put a 5.0 in the rating. They're not even doing that because we're so busy trying to do the look. We're so busy trying to put Scott Steiner because he's a little bit muscular on our TVs. We're trying to put big guys on our TV so much because they have the fucking look instead of going on skill wise. Let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of people like Alberto Del Rio, a lot of people don't. But guess what? When Alberto Del Rio wrestled Punk, when Punk was doing his stuff in the summer, Alberto Del Rio looked exposed in that ring against CM Punk. He really did. He looked very exposed. And as he wrestled on during the years before he got injured, during the months, he still looked a little bit more exposed. So apparently the look isn't really working because guess what? People want to blame Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Zack Ryder for the low ratings. But guess who else was in it? The Miz, Alberto Del Rio, the guy who has the look. You know what I mean? So, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not saying that I want my wrestlers to look like pretty boys or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, I don't really care about how they look as long as they can wrestle their asses off in the ring and do and put on entertaining matches. Apparently, John Cena isn't doing it because when he had it, they was just staying at twos. But I guess WWE is satisfied with mediocrity. You know, I'm not gonna sit up here and tell me and say, well, we need to enjoy wrestling because it is what it is now, and that's what they're doing, and they're making money. Because you know what it is. At the end, we're just sitting up here accepting bullshit garbage. And if that's what you want to accept, fine. I have no problem with that. This is just how I feel and how I think it should be. I like how people say, well, you never owned a wrestling business, so you wouldn't know. Well, it's funny because you never owned a wrestling business either. You probably never even tried to open up a business yourself. But the thing is one thing about a business is you need customers, you need consumers. And apparently wrestling isn't really getting that many customers and consumers. So something needs to change. I do believe wrestling can get better, but I'm just so sick and tired of hearing this shit about the look. You're basically going back to the days of the late 80s and stuff when Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart was entering the business and said they was so sick and tired of hearing about their sizes when they can out wrestle half of the fucking locker room on their own by themselves. Because the truth of the matter is they could. They could. And they probably. And most of the guys that don't have the look, I believe Tyson Kidd, I believe Kurt Hawkins, and I also believe Tyler Rex can out wrestle half of the fucking locker room. And not counting the guys in FCW who I still am mind boggled that Richie Steamboat isn't in WWE yet, who can probably out wrestle Ted DiBiase in a fucking heartbeat. You know? And hell, I think he can even handle. I think he would give Cody Rhodes a run for his money because to me, Cody Rhodes is a good wrestler, but I believe Richie Steamboat is much better. But that's just my opinion, guys. So take it or leave it. This is the problem child saying I'm out, and can we stop? Can we get over this look thing? It just really, really just sounds, and I'm not saying this to be offensive or anything, but it really sounds fucking gay. It really does. It sounds gay. Just when a bunch of men are sitting up there crying about a guy because he doesn't have the look, it's fucking gay. I'm out.